Hello and welcome, everyone. It is time to enter the Kumite. This is not a sport. I repeat, this is not a sport.
This is not a podcast.
No, we don't do that anymore, buddy. Every time I listen back to it, I'm like, it's just so I just cringe a little.
That's my first time back in a while. I had to pull one on you.
Yeah. I'm joined today by my friend and fellow colleague Daniel Caballero.
Hello.
And our technical engineer, the 9 Pro Ninja himself, Sean Myers. Today we will be discussing UFC 264 Poirier versus McGregor. If you enjoy the content we're creating, guys, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Don't be afraid to hit that little bell icon either. That way you can stay up to date with the latest Kumite gossip.
Yep.
All right, so we're mostly going to be digging into the main card, putting our picks in the hat for it, but there's a couple fights on this card that I'm looking forward to than most of the main event or main card. First off, we got Nico Price versus Michel Pejera. This is the banger of the night, guys. This will either be given a fight of the night or knockout of the night, given on how it goes.
Yeah.
It's either going to be a 3-round dog fight with crazy scrambles and everything in between, or it's going to be a really flashy KO from one to the other.
Yeah, either way, it's going to give the fans what they want. All those casual fighters that just want people, or casual fans that just want fighters to go out there and start wailing.
Yeah.
You know, it's going to be a good show.
Yeah, Michelle is very, very crazy. Just throws the weirdest things in the book, but throws them with such power and speed that it's dangerous. And Nico's just, he's just a dog. I'm going to go with Michel Pejera, though, if I'm trying to make some money. He looks to be the faster fighter. I think that'll be the deciding factor here. However, Nico is an assassin and can win the fight in many ways. He has great elbows, great scrambles, and better inside boxing, in my opinion. Michel is probably fast enough to get in and out quick enough to avoid a lot of the damage coming back his way. Price needs this to be a close-up dogfight, and he's got to keep the scrambles coming. If he can do this without getting caught with some crazy shit, then he could probably find a chance to finish the fight. I could see some crazy scrambles and then Nico Price taking Pejera's back and maybe getting a rear naked choke.
It only being a 3-round fight, you know, we were not going to see, of course, any 5 rounds out of these guys just yet. But do you think either of them are going to gas out early? You know,
I don't think Nico Price will. Michel Pejera has that quick twitch fiber muscle where he will get tired, but he does a really good job at taking his downtime and then knowing when to explode. Kind of like Yoel Romero. Well, Romero doesn't have the best gas tank, but he knows how to conserve his energy and knows to use it in bursts.
That's good. Only 3 rounds. Hopefully they can last all the way. If not, then maybe one of them might take it just on that alone.
But if someone gets tired, or to the point where it actually affects their performance, I think it would be Pejera. I think he would lose his speed, which would actually be really detrimental in the fight. I think Nico Price is very dangerous. Next up. Ooh, I can't wait. It's the return of Ryan Hall, guys. He's been away for 2 years, the BJJ prodigy. This is one of the most anticipated fights on the card for me. We have the elite Georgian prospect against the BJJ prodigy. A lot of Ryan Hall's opponents were very worried about going to the ground with him, so it made for some lackluster fights. Just you watch. If Ilya is willing to go to the ground with Hall, this will become an interesting fight very quickly. Hall's got very good ankle locks, knee bars. Hall's the type of fighter, you could see it when he fought Gray Maynard. Anytime Gray Maynard would come forward with pressure boxing, he would literally just lay down on his back and invite him into his guard. That's how good and confident Ryan Hall is with his guard. But it made for a very boring fight because Gray Maynard's like, I'm not doing that because I know that's the only way you can win this fight.
That just reminds me of there's a Simpsons bit. It's either The Simpsons or Family Guy, where the guy just comes up to the house and he's all like, I know Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and lays down on the ground and just sits there, mount to me so I may destroy you.
Yeah, it looks like it's just a terrible position, but he feels comfortable there, and he feels a lot more comfortable there than in boxing range.
Yeah.
But yeah, both of these guys are top-notch fighters. We're going to see either or both Ilya's grappling tested and Ryan's striking defense tested. I see Hall doing some of the things he did with Gray Maynard, where he would, throw some head kicks and then try to lay down when he would march forward. I don't think he wants anything to do with Ilya's stand-up. I guess we're going to see if Ilya will be willing to engage with Ryan on the ground and go into his guard. We haven't particularly seen too much good wrestling from him. I don't think he's bad. I just don't think he's needed to use it just because he's got his power, his speed, really dangerous striking. He throws a lot of different weapons. Ultimately, though, I am going to go with Ilya Topuria. I'm probably butchering that pronunciation. Ryan Hall would have had a serious shot to contend for that title about 3 years ago. But I feel the world is passing up these specialists, Ilya is young, he's hungry, and he's honestly more versatile. Ryan Hall throws a lot of kicks. A lot of them are naked. He's not confident in his boxing, and like I said, he just wants to grapple. Mm-hmm. Ilya does go to the body a lot, and we may see a head kick from Ryan Hall if he can time it. Because Ilya does like to work that body.
Seems like an interesting prelim, something that everybody can see.
Yeah, I'm excited to see. I mean, Ryan Hall is he's a prodigy, a BJJ prodigy, and it was really hard to see this really talented fighter not be able to get any fights back in the day. Nobody wanted to fight him because he wasn't a big name. He put on lackluster performances because nobody wanted to grapple with him, and he wasn't high up in the rankings. It wasn't worth it for most of the fighters, so they just weren't taking it. But moving on to the main card, we got Sean O'Malley versus Chris Moutinho. Moutinho stepping in for Louis Smolka on short notice.
That's crazy that he's getting a main card debut.
Yeah, this is his first fight in the UFC. We may see a bit of an adjustment to the higher level competition from him. But man, I went back and I watched him tape on this guy. I got to go with Sean O'Malley via first round TKO.
He's also stepping in on this fight, though. How much notice does he have? I think
it's only a week or two.
So, yeah, he's coming in a little bit underprepared.
Yeah, even his style, though, like, I feel he's a bit rigid and kind of easy to read. Mm-hmm. But he's trying to utilize feints, which is good to see. But his feints aren't believable.
I doubt that they're going to be in line with Sean O'Malley's feints as well. Sean O'Malley's on a different level when it comes to his counter game. When it comes
to feints and counters and setting you up. And he squares up a bit too much for O'Malley. Mm-hmm. O'Malley's really good at finding those angles and picking his shots. And that's exactly what I see. I see O'Malley picking an angle on the outside foot somewhere, dancing around, gets Moutinho to stop adjusting the direction he's facing for just a second and gets caught. Yeah. And I see O'Malley landing straight for the finish in the first round. Next up, we got Irene Aldana versus Yana Kunitskaya.
That's nice. I wouldn't be able to pronounce that name.
This is a good fight. Pretty much anyone with a couple of good wins will be thrown at Nunes at this point. So either of these women could be challenging for the title after this fight. So both women have a win over Ketlin Vieira, who's a legit contender. And Irene Aldana, man, caught her with a beautiful lead hook and to knock her out. That was impressive. But in this fight, Kunitskaya will probably have the more diverse striking game, but Aldana will likely have the better boxing, especially in range. I love Aldana's 1-2 to uppercut. Definitely one of her most refined techniques, and she has that nasty lead hook that I was just talking about. She dips in, and she really puts all of her weight behind it, and she knocked Ketlin Vieira out clean. That was nasty. Ultimately, I'm going to go with Irene Aldana via decision. Yana is pretty responsible when it comes to her defense, but I feel like Aldana is going to do some good work from the outside. We may see Kunitskaya's grappling come into play, but I don't feel like she'll really be able to keep Aldana down or, aggressively take her down. Okay, next up, Tai Tuivasa versus Greg Hardy. Greg Hardy is faster and more powerful, but Tuivasa has more experience and can thrive in a dogfight. I think he's going to want this to be a dogfight. I think he's going to want to wear on Hardy to gas him out. Hardy doesn't have the best gas tank. And Tuivasa does get tired, but he just powers through it every time I've seen him. But I could definitely see Tuivasa getting caught early on, trying to make it a dogfight. Hardy has shown to have some power in those hands, and at times he can time the right shot at the right time. Ultimately, though, I see Tuivasa trying to bring the pressure and getting caught. I think Hardy has gotten a lot better at being aware of what his opponents are doing. And Tuivasa, man, he leaves his hands down too often when he's coming forward. You can't do that in the heavyweight division. I would not be surprised if Tuivasa takes the fight to Hardy and makes him wilt under the pressure, though. And getting a late stoppage or possibly a decision. Hardy is pretty tough. But, yeah, I'm going to say Hardy via first-round TKO. This is the heavyweight division, and you have to be very careful. I feel like Hardy is more careful when it comes to defense, even though he has much less experience than Tuivasa. Next up, we have Gilbert Darinho Burns versus Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, the jiu-jitsu legend versus the karate master.
I love how much he's actually brought the karate style into the UFC because he has that stance, that bouncy karate stance that he just loves to fight in. He has his hands way down, just sitting there moving on you, and will throw strikes from any part of his body at any time so quickly.
Yeah,
he's good. He's good. You don't see very many karate guys in the UFC, not at this level.
You don't. I mean, it's rare to see specialists now. Mm-hmm. But yeah, for all those people out there who say karate's for women to defend their purse, look at Stevie Wonderboy Thompson. You got to take what works and you got to get rid of what doesn't. But you have to do that with every martial arts.
Every single one.
Every single one of them has stuff that you probably shouldn't do in a real fight.
Different things. You can't. Tai Chi was a martial arts at one point in time. It technically still is,
Technically.
Technically.
This is spirit boxing. Get ready. But this is one of the most important fights in the welterweight division right now. Stephen Thompson could potentially be one of the hardest fights for Kamaru Usman, given his elusive style, his great movement. He's very hard to get his back to the cage because he always backs up at angles. He always has linear movement. Takedown defense and his counter potential, man. He's going to be faster than Kamaru. He's going to know more about, his angles and his striking than Kamaru. I think Kamaru, if he fights Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, I think he's going to have to go back to his wrestling. I don't think he's going to be able to rely on that jab. I don't see him getting the knockout.
Well, I'd really like to see that fight, but how is he going to compare against Burns, the jiu-jitsu master, man?
Yeah, I'm curious if Burns is going to come out here trying to impose his grappling because that's what he's good at, and he just recently got knocked out. But I hope so. I hope he does. Because he does have a chance of getting... He's got to get his hands on Thompson, though. That's the problem.
And Thompson has that reach on him. He's a pretty lengthy guy. And
he's tall.
With him using that wide stance and throwing those kicks from so far away, he's going to be able to keep him at range. I'm going to be very interested to see if Burns can get him down.
What is their game plan to safely get inside Stephen Thompson's bubble and take him down? But we still haven't seen Thompson be... controlled on the ground. He trains with Chris Weidman every day. Often. They're good buddies. They train at the same gym. And Thompson is shown to have good takedown defense, good get-up game, but we haven't seen it tested, and we haven't seen someone need that against Thompson or, really even be able to close the distance. So I'm excited to see this. Thompson, I feel, is going to be... too fast for Burns, and Burns is coming off that TKO. I feel like Burns doesn't have too much to offer Thompson on the feet.
It's going to be a matter of who can put the other in their comfort zone and work it the best.
Yeah, who's going to control the geography of the fight, as Teddy Atlas would say.
And I think Burns is going to be at a disadvantage because they're going to start in Stephen Thompson's
range.
Comfortable area.
I see Thompson chopping Burns up while he's trying to close the distance, walking into the wood chipper, Lyoto Machida style.
Well, I can definitely see Burns, taking his back and getting something on the ground if he takes him down.
I see Burns coming out very defensively at first and trying to cover distance responsibly, and then I see him slowly start to get frustrated and open himself up a bit to hit Thompson with something meaningful. I predict Thompson be a decision. I feel like Burns is going to play this fight kind of safe and a bit timid, honestly.
I'll go ahead and throw my pick in the hat and pick Thompson TKO, second round.
Yeah, that's an alluring one. I was thinking about doing it too, but I was like, you know what? Burns is tough, and he just came off that knockout. I feel like he's going to play it really safe.
Yeah.
Okay. Time for the trilogy.
The main card. The fight of the night.
The saga continues. Is this Conor's last chance? We don't know. Just to preserve his image in the eyes of the public.
He needs a win. He definitely needs a win.
And overdose Poirier put him right back up there in the everyone's respect.
It will, but who's gonna take it this time? We've seen Poirier get knocked out by Conor. We've also seen Poirier knock out Conor. Who's gonna take it?
This fight can go either way, and that's what I love about the mixed martial arts and the UFC. They're putting on competitive fights where you don't know who's gonna win. A lot of these boxing matches, you know who's gonna win.
Yep.
Someone's getting set up.
You cannot tell in the world of mixed martial arts. You can't put a bet on this and be 100% confident.
But yeah, this is the kind of trilogy the combat sports needs in order to make history. Doesn't always matter if they're even technically the best. Like Khabib is the best. But to see the highly competitive fights in which nobody knows who's going to win, that's what's important.
Yes.
We already put out a video on the breakdown of McGregor and Poirier. I would suggest you guys go check that out if you want a more in-detailed analysis of how we see the fight playing out.
They're both on YouTube and Spotify.
Yeah.
Spotify.
I think, but to kind of sum it up, I believe things will be even in the clinch. Conor will likely be landing some shots in the clinch, and Dustin will likely be spending the majority of the time pushing Conor against the cage. But Conor does seem to be stronger when he explodes into something. He just can't sustain that against Dustin, who's consistently stronger than Conor.
I think we're going to be seeing some interesting clinch striking because going back and looking over, we saw the shoulder strikes when Conor McGregor fought Cerrone, Cowboy Cerrone.
Yeah.
He's the one that got pretty much TKO'd by his shoulder. Oh, I'm sorry, man. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, he got rocked by his shoulder.
But it was
crazy.
Interesting to see Poirier saw that. And took it into account. When watching the second fight again, he got caught by it once, maybe twice, and every single time he knew exactly get his head on the other side of his head, get out of it, and he was throwing some of them back.
He's trying.
He can't do it as well.
He can't do it as well as McGregor.
Conor just literally took his shoulder out of the socket and threw it at him real quick. I don't know what was going on there, but he's got that down. But I think Poirier is going to be able to defend against that. He already has once. He's really good at turning Conor around and getting him. Whenever Conor pushes him to the back and puts his back on the cage, he gets around and puts Conor's back on the cage, and that's how he got him in the last fight. Is apply the pressure to him after he was tired already. Yeah,
I mean Conor slowed down, but I feel like it was more of the calf than it was his cardio in that case.
I believe they both slowed down because even Poirier, he was slipping and staying right out of range of Conor's jab and his cross in the first round, but after he started losing some of that gas, he started getting caught by a few more of them in the second.
Yeah, Poirier will go 5 rounds, but he does lose some speed, lose some, some of that power on those punches as the time goes on.
And he knows to go for those calf kicks, for those leg kicks to shorten shorten his base, shorten McGregor's base where he can't sit there and be so at range the whole time.
Yeah, with those calf kicks being into play, it really does limit what Conor can do and what Conor's options are to win this fight. Unless their team comes up with an amazing game plan to just straight counter those kicks, Dustin can't throw naked kicks anymore.
You can't,
because Conor's practicing that. They're going over drills. If he throws one naked kick, Conor's about to lean in and throw that hand, that left hand, and I see that potentially being a problem here. I don't see Dustin's wrestling being a direct threat. Obviously, it'll help him mix up his offense.
He got a takedown in the first round of the last fight.
He slipped under that left hand. That's how he got it. And that's where I see Poirier getting the takedown. I don't see him being able to keep Conor there. Conor's really good at scooting his back all the way to the cage.
He got there quick.
He crawled all the way to his corner.
Yes, he did. What do I do now, guys?
But I feel like Conor's going to focus more on countering instead of chasing Poirier this time, not putting himself in Poirier's range. Yep. He needs Poirier to come forward because Poirier is honestly kind of limited and easy to read when he's striking at range. And Conor should be able to outwork him outside the pocket.
He also needs to pull out that boxing that he's been working on so much, because one thing he likes to do when he gets his back to the cage is he likes to sit there and Muhammad Ali just bob and weave and never likes to actually get out of the pocket to where he can, readjust and come back on him.
Poirier caught on to that shit so quick.
Yes,
Caught him with that hook.
And
that
and
right
yeah,
hook.
and now he knows. So the one thing I do give Conor is that he's very good at improvising. It's shown with the shoulder. It's shown with all the ways
creative.
he's won. He's very creative. So I hope that he can come up with a plan that can, at least make this challenging.
And he's saying he's wanting to bring out more weapons this fight. He said, I didn't get to show all my weapons last fight. I was just trying to box. All we saw from Conor was a good
What weapons
1-2.
He's going to judo chop this guy or something like that.
Well, we don't know, man. I'm ready to see some more spinning heel kicks, bro.
Dude, right? That would be fun. I would love an Edison Barbosa spinning heel kick knockout from him.
I don't see that happening, but I do see him using those spinning kicks to make Dustin go in a certain direction, and then he can land that left hand.
He may be taking from who was it? Was it O'Malley that would fake those spinning heel kicks?
And then throw straight.
No, we were watching a fight not too long ago where there was a fighter who was faking those back spinning side kicks, and he kept on turning back.
Oh my gosh, who was that?
You know what I'm talking about?
I'm not gonna remember it. I don't want to take up too much time trying to remember who it was. But yeah, that was really
Sean
interesting.
O'Malley. So
was it Sean? Okay,
he
okay.
might be.
It could have been O'Malley. Yeah.
The great thing about martial arts is there's so much you can do with it. He might be pulling from Tai Chi and come up here and do some kung fu stuff. You never know.
If Dustin does his typical stance switch overhand to start putting on the pressure, I really do see him getting punished badly. Hopefully he's a bit more bouncy. Hopefully Conor's a bit more bouncy and throws some kicks. His spinning kicks really help to dictate his opponent's movement so he can more diversely land that left hand. One of the issues in the last fight for him was Dustin knew exactly what Conor was trying to do. Because Conor was trying to force the 1-2. Conor was trying to force the knockout. So, yeah, those punches still hurt. Poirier admitted those punches hurt. But Poirier saw them coming. And Poirier is not just going to get dropped by a punch that he sees coming. It's always a punch you don't see that straight just knocks you out. Dustin is going to have Conor's respect with his hands now. That's going to make it easier for him to set up those leg kicks. I will say that, like I was saying earlier, he cannot be throwing naked leg kicks. I guarantee you that at least one of Conor's answers to the leg kicks is to time it and throw that power hand down the center.
He's also hopefully going to check a few more of them. He had a hard time checking them in the last fight.
And Poirier said that he was checking them wrong. When he was checking, he said he wasn't turning his knee all the way out, and he was still catching the bad end of the kick.
Maybe we might see another broken leg.
Ooh, man, don't jinx it. But between the leg kicks, the takedown threat, and the strong in-close boxing, Dustin has a lot of tools at his disposal and can potentially keep Conor guessing if Conor gets in his head and starts thinking too much. Because Conor's smart. He has high IQ. And
Yes,
if you give him too many things to think about, he freezes sometimes. And that's what he did when his back was against the cage at the very end of the fight with Poirier. Ultimately, though, guys, and this is a hard fight. This is 50-50. So don't hate on me if I get it wrong. All you Poirier fans out there, I'm a Poirier fan. But I am going to go with Conor by a second-round TKO. Why is it always a second round?
I'm going to stick to second round, and I'm going to stick to TKO, but I'm going to go with Dustin. I think Dustin may have cracked the code on Conor because, we can take a little bit from Nate Diaz, but Nate Diaz he got him on the ground. He knows what to do there. But I think
Conor went for a takedown because Nate caught his ass. He was tired.
But I think Poirier figured out the code to beating him up top. And I think he can at least keep him away until he wears him down a bit and then catch him when he's not ready.
It's definitely possible. I mean,
It can go either way.
I would, before their last fight, I would have been kind of hesitant to go with that prediction, Poirier by knockout. But after we saw what we saw, Poirier catches him with a clean hook, it might be game over.
It might.
With that, guys, we will go ahead and wrap up our thoughts on UFC 264. I want to thank you, Daniel, for joining me today and sharing your insights.
Of course.
I'd like to thank our technical engineer, the 940 Ninja himself, Sean Myers, for the sound we are sharing here. The sound we're sharing here. And I'd like to thank the fighters for going up on the world stage and laying it all on the line. And lastly, but certainly not least, I'd like to thank you, our viewers, for joining the Kumite with us here today. If you like what we're doing here, guys, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Don't forget, this is not a sport. You don't play fight.